Hello, this is Adam from Wheel Guns for Wheelmen, and I wanted to address a somewhat nuanced issue that was brought to my attention by a gun store salesman who may have just been ignorant, or maybe he was just unscrupulous. I'm not sure which. This salesman tried to upsell me from a 22 snub-nose revolver, which I just wanted for plinking, really. It's just snub-noses are cheaper than a longer barreled version normally. And so I just wanted it for plinking, but I think he assumed it was for self-defense. He tried to upsell me to a 22 Magnum Smith & Wesson. And, you know, it would have been a lot more money, but more importantly, it would have been a very idiotic purchase on my part. I don't really see a reason to ever buy a 22 Magnum snub-nose revolver. And by snub nose, I mean a revolver with a barrel of no more than 2 inches, normally 1.5 to 2 inches. And the reason that you should never buy a 22 Magnum snub nose is you don't get any return on investment, so to speak. The issue with a 22 Magnum snub nose is you don't have a long enough barrel. You can't gain the velocity you need to see improved ballistic performance over 22 long rifle, assuming you have the same exact bullet. For those who don't know, 22 long rifle and 22 Magnum, normally you can purchase them with the same bullet weight and types. For instance, for my purpose, we're going to look at CCI mini mags, which are 22 long rifle cartridges, 40 grain hollow points, and then compare that to a 22 Magnum 40 grain hollow point maxi mag, also by the same brand, CCI. And if you compare the chronograph results, you'll see that it's 856 feet per second for the 22 long rifle out of a 2-inch barrel, 946 feet per second, so about 90 feet per second faster, out of with a 22 Magnum out of the same 2-inch barrel. So with the 22 Magnum, you gain 90 feet per second, less than 100 feet per second. That's negligible when we're talking about kill power. And so I, however, ended up purchasing this, which is not a snub nose revolver, and I did not purchase it from that gun store. I purchased it from a private individual. It is not a snub nose. It is a 22 long rifle revolver with a 4-inch barrel. It's a Charter Arms Pathfinder. It's empty. And this gun leads me to my next point, which is you do have to consider whether or not you want a 22 Magnum if you're going to buy a revolver with a 3-inch barrel or greater. And the reason is, just looking at a 4-inch barrel like this one, if this were in 22 Magnum, you would have approximately 1,350 feet per second versus 1,015. So almost 300 feet per second faster. I'm bad at math. I think it's actually closer to 350 feet per second faster. And so there would be an advantage. But where you only get 90 feet per second out of a 2-inch barrel, like I said earlier, I've seen the effects of both. I've owned both calibers. You're not going to get much more benefit. You're not going to get any benefit. Unless it's that 0.01% of times where you needed that 90 feet per second more to penetrate a sternum or something of an animal or human if you're going to use it. I would say I do caution against using any small rimfire round 22 Magnum or 22 long rifle for self-defense against humans or larger animals. But if you're going to, because you're elderly or have a wrist injury or something, and you want something with no recoil, and you want it to be a revolver, and you want it to be a snub nose, I go with a 22 long rifle. Now, I will say, if you want a very long barrel hunting revolver that you threw a scope or red dot on, and you have a choice between 22 and 22 Magnum, go with 22 Magnum. Even a 4 or 5 inch, if you're going to use it for, taking through the woods or around the ranch, dispatching coyotes or wounded horses, whatever, 22 Magnum out of a 4 or 5 inch barrel also would make sense. But for a snub nose revolver, I would submit that you should never purchase one in 22 Magnum, but rather 22 long rifle if you want something it is a rimfire round that's not very powerful. Stay tuned for more videos, and please like and subscribe. Thank you.